2011, my two uncles, Nomineta and Sam Saili, began developing a GPS tracking solution. Together they identified vehicle abuse or vehicle mismanagement as a massive problem in Samoa. And they wanted to be able to provide a management tool to private and government sector to help better manage these vehicles. And my next slide is just a commercial that we made in Samoa of this problem, highlighting this problem. So as you can see, in the ad, we were able to highlight some massive problems in Samoa. And with vehicle abuse comes a number of associated costs and expenses to government and private sector. If the vehicle is going to places that it's not supposed to be going to, you're paying the wages of the staff inside the vehicle, you're paying the petrol of the vehicle, we're paying for the petrol to go to these locations, and also the cost benefit, the time that they're not doing the jobs that they're supposed to be doing, and it's prevalent throughout the private and government sector in the Pacific Islands. And we really wanted to help create a solution that would actually, clamp down on this mismanagement of the vehicles. So my next slide is just basically a diagram of how the vehicle tracking technology works. Pretty much how it works is we have a GPS unit that we place inside a vehicle. That unit communicates with GPS satellite. So that unit's able to understand the location or the XY coordinate of that vehicle. Within the unit, we have a SIM card, which is, we've been talking about today, the Internet of Things, being able to connect machine to machines. So within the unit, we have a SIM card that is able to ping or transmit the XY coordinate or the location of that vehicle to our server. And then on our server, we've been able to develop a software that actually manipulates and actually formats that location data into a whole lot of reports and alerts to actually help inform our customers where the vehicle's been, how long they spent at that location, and what time they left. GPS tracking isn't new. It's been around for a long time, and it's worked really well in Australia, New Zealand, and the developed countries. One of the main reasons, or one of the key things that have helped the GPS tracking solutions to work in these developed countries is the maps. Okay, Google Maps and all the map providers. As you can see here, we're in the LTS Centre. We've pinned the location, and if you see around LTS Centre, the street names, the points of interest, we can see where McDonald's are, we can see where the Civic Centre is, it's all there. However, in the Pacific Islands, we've been neglected. The satellite imagery is old. Points of interest aren't collected. There are no official addressing systems. There's no letterboxes, there's no numbers. So how are we supposed to give our customers or be able to actually identify where these vehicles have been? So what that meant was we actually had to go around and start geocoding the whole island. We actually had to collect these points of interest ourselves. As you see here, this is a screenshot of the Vaitele area in Samoa, and all the little purple points are these locations. Okay, so when a vehicle turns up to these locations, we're able to inform our customer that the vehicle was at Bluebird Construction, not Vaitele Road. Vaitele Road could be 10 kilometres long. And how many different points could it possibly be on that road? So we were able to make the information a lot more specific, and we had to go out and build our own maps because, again, the maps weren't very detailed that were provided. We've done the same. We've done the same in American Samoa. We've gone around and collected all the points. It took us about 4 days to go around and collect all these individual points. Our business is in Solomon Islands as well, and we've gone there and collected the points. And one thing that I'm really proud of is that we were able to use existing technology, open source technology, cheap technology that enabled us to create these solutions. And we were able to teach these solutions to kids coming out of high school, kids that weren't able to get degrees, and kids that were able to go out and actually get the survey information. We're able to utilize that in our business. And it's something that we're really, really proud of, is that we're able to employ kids that can do this kind of work. And stuff that Google's neglected and other map providers in the Pacific. Not only can we collect points or just names, we've been able to actually create attributes for the information. So this screenshot here is the actual business license locations, not just the place names. We're able to go and survey and find out where all the individual business licenses are. Government currently cannot say where all their business licenses are or where all their businesses are because there's no official addressing system. Okay, currently they have Microsoft Access or other database systems that are in tabular format. So in an Excel sheet, you'll be able to see the businesses, but in terms of location, where are they? And it's passed through word of mouth, and generally the way people explain things is if you go down the road, if you pass a mango tree and then go past a second church, you'll be able to find this location. And when you're registering a business in Samoa, you're supposed to put down your address, and there's no addressing system, so you have to actually draw your business. How are you supposed to import that image into a database? There's a lot of challenges that we were able to come across and we're able to actually help solve through open source technology. And again, we were able to use $100 GPSs from China. We didn't have to buy a car like Google with the geotagging cameras that they have and drive around the streets. We were able to provide really, really cheap, homemade in Samoa solutions to actually solve this problem. Sorry, the next part of my presentation, I'm rushing a bit, but the next part of my presentation I want to touch on is GIS and remote sensing, specifically drone technology. At the core of what we do, or at the core of our business is GIS, which stands for Geographic Information Systems. And I want to play you a short video documenting some of the work we're doing in the Solomon Islands. Currently, our team is actually collecting 256 square kilometers worth of data, which is massive. It's never been done before in the Pacific. And we're flying at altitudes at 2,500 feet, which again has never been done before. We only just started using drones last year in June, and we're helping a company there collect data to actually help identify carbon stock. So when this company expands, and when it expands into these areas, they're able to actually satisfy these requirements and say how much carbon stock are they going to be removing from these forests, or from these areas, sorry, not forests, they do not cut forests down. So how we got into drone technology, it's really interesting. We have a very good relationship with an NGO in Samoa called Women in Business. And women in business came to us. They managed organic certification for organic farms in Samoa. And they came to us and they said, we have a private investor, we have a company that wants to come to Samoa, build some factories and help harvest virgin coconut oil. You know, some of the numbers they were throwing up were pretty impressive. They wanted to employ 200 plus people. And they were saying they were going to be able to provide or offer 3 times what the farmers were getting for their coconuts, which would bring a significant economic impact into Samoa. And we began, the problem that this company had was that the government ministries in Samoa, the coconut counts that they had varied by 40%. And that number was too big for them to say, we will just come in and bring this investment in. So they really wanted to find out how many coconuts were in the island. So to date, we've counted over 600,000 coconut trees. We've worked with farmers, we've mapped the boundaries, we've gone in and we've actually met all these individual farmers and collect this information. What you can see on the slide is, below is the Google satellite imagery of a specific area, and above it is a drone image. You can see the clear difference in the resolution and the kind of data you can actually extract from these images. So again, we looked at the methodology at which these organisations and also the ministries were collecting this data. How they were actually collecting the coconut counts were they were getting a sample area, they were counting the trees within that sample area, and then they were reflecting that over the whole entire area. And that, we weren't happy with that, and we weren't happy to say that that was an accurate count. So what we knew was that drones would be able to provide a better resolution where you could actually physically see the coconuts. You can see the fronds. In the left image, you can clearly see the coconut trees. In the right side is a Google satellite image, again, which is quite difficult to see the trees. So yeah, we went against some people and we said we're going to buy a drone, we're going to do this count. Yeah, it's taken us right across the Pacific very, very fast. And again, going back to the coconut count, these guys, women in business, they really struggled because it was such a large requirement. They had over 500 farmers that they needed to collect a lot of information for. And to be organically certified requires a lot of time and also information that needs to be managed from the NGO side. So what we did was we looked at their current process. A lot of it was paper. They were going in, the field staff were using paper forms and paper survey forms, and they were going in, they were drawing the boundaries of these farms, and they were writing in all the survey information, like who the farmer is, when was the last visit, what they're farming, was it pineapples, was it coconuts, was it taro. What we did was we actually looked at being able to provide an application or a digital form through mobile phones. So what we did was we digitized their manual forms or their paper forms, and we trained their field staff to go out and actually collect the survey information. And that way we're able to actually kind of reduce the margin of error. With paper forms, you have a lot of inaccuracies. If you spell, a name wrong, that name's not going to be put into the database properly. And then you're going to get different outputs and baseline information or baseline data for these researchers that they want. It's very hard to come by because these processes haven't been followed properly. So we built an app all entirely on open source, again, free software. We use the free software to go and actually collect this information for them. So what we have here on the right is a GIS system. It's again a free software, Quantum. We flew the drone, we exported the image into this free software, and then we're able to classify the image. We're able to go in and physically count the trees. We're able to provide an opportunity for again, staff that didn't need degrees to go in and count trees, and use, GIS software. Something again that I'm really, really passionate about and proud about. So this is just one of the data sets I'd like to present. It's a farm that we've been able to clearly identify the boundary, been able to associate a farm code with. We're actually able to show how many trees we've counted. In traditional databases, GIS is really hard to actually store and be able to present onto, we'll be able to produce reports. And we've been able to do that entirely on open source technology. Again, we're not using proprietary software that costs tens of thousands US, which enables us to engage our clients and be able to get contracts a lot faster. The project that we had, or that we're still carrying out in Samoa, has been actually published by Harvard Initiative, the ICT Update. Again, something we're really happy about, because there's a lot of massive projects around the world that's featured in this magazine. Okay, so currently we're in the Solomon Islands, and we've been asked by UN Habitat, Ministry of Lands, and also the Honiara City Council. Currently they're carrying out a project where they're profiling all the wards. Solomon Islands is divided in over 250 wards. And what they want is, Solomon Islands is very unique. They've got 80% of their population placed in the rural areas. And they're converging on, the growth rate they're saying in town, or the Honiara Township, is at 5% per year, which is massive. They're getting these people coming in from the provinces and settling in on customary land. The squatters are coming in and settling on land that isn't theirs. It's a massive contentious point at the moment in the Solomon Islands. And it's something that we're working with UN Habitat in Solomon Islands, and also the Ministry of Lands, to help actually identify how many houses there are in specific areas, who has access to electricity, who has access to power, and what is the basic infrastructure like in there. So what we have here is, we've got two images there of the same area. And this is what these surveys are using to base, to use for their planning. And the bottom is Google. I'm hammering Google here. Bad, but yeah, it's not very good. The bottom image is Google, and the top image, again, it's the same location. Okay, so the bottom one is Google, and the top one is a drone image we collected. We were able to quickly identify how many houses are in an area. They can't go on Google and say count the houses, because it's not up to date. It's 2010. We're in 2016 now. So what we do is we fly a drone. Again, we export the image into a GIS, and we're able to classify, we're able to count the houses. We're able to overlay GIS information so that we can say which houses have water meters, which houses have power meters. So that leaves us a quick assessment to say these people don't have power, these people don't have water. These people don't have access to basic infrastructure. Without this imagery, they can't actually do that. They have to go in and actually ground truth and find out all this information themselves. And when you're going and dealing with so many different ethnicities and so many different provinces, people from different provinces, it becomes a very, very hard task. And it's almost at a stalemate in Solomons, where they can't actually move forward because there's so much contention around land. Again, I'm going back to the project that I was discussing about us capturing high carbon stock in Solomon Islands. This is one thing that I've become very, very passionate about, because I've spent 6 months in Solomon Islands. I haven't left, and we've gone and we've actually been able to engage the local communities there. We've been able to understand what is there, what challenges are these people facing, and palm oil hasn't exactly had the best kind of reputation, in the past, with the bad media around the burning of the rainforest and the orangutans that were dying when these rainforests were getting burnt down. But I can say we've been in these areas. We can say that the economic development, or the communities that are benefiting from this palm oil, is massive. They have facilities, they have access to healthcare, they have access to schools, they have roads, they have running water, they've got internet. Areas that they want to expand, and we've gone and we've flown these drones where there's no palm oil, or there's no development, and we're hearing stories where people are having to walk for days to get to a clinic. There's no roads, you can't drive a car, so these guys have to carry their children for days to get access to basic healthcare. So we feel like we're providing a service in these places, but don't normally get this kind of information. We're capturing this data so that when the company wants to expand into these areas, they're satisfying these reports that they have a zero deforestation policy, and the imagery that we're actually able to capture is able to better classify what kind of vegetation is going to be removed when they expand into these areas. Okay, so the SkyEye vision, just to close up, we want to be able to provide the Pacific with relevant and supported GIS data management solutions. Often we come in and we engage ministries, we engage private sector, and we find out that they have existing systems that were built by consultants, but the consultants left, and there's no one there to support it. And as technology changes, so does the requirements, so does the requirements of the ministry, and so does the need for the technology to change as well. And because there's no supporting cast or there's no supporting systems there to help these people make these changes, they're often left neglected, and this big tail starts to build up on all this data that they're collecting, and becomes irrelevant and becomes rubbish. So what we want to be able to do is actually take a focus on going and setting up in country with the purpose to actually support these systems and support the capacity that is currently in the Pacific Islands. We want to be able to create a working environment. Currently I've seen, since moving from New Zealand to the Pacific, we've seen the model where people that graduate from university, they go work for government. That's automatically the big job in the Pacific Islands is government, or blue sky, or digital. And we want to change that. We want to be able to create and encourage other entrepreneurs to start businesses and to be able to provide solutions that we can actually do in country, that we don't need people from outside to come and support. And we want to be able to provide a place where local talent want to work in the private sector, because to be honest, the private sector isn't the solutions that we want to provide. It's very hard to set that up at the moment. But in the future, we also want to be involved with climate change. We understand that the Pacific Islands is going to be obviously the most at risk with this climate change, and we want to be involved with projects to help better understand what is happening in the Pacific Islands. That's it. Thank you very much.